Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Podcast, where we talk wrestling, all things old and new. It's Austin 316 Day. I am Stevie. We've got Kyle, Kevin, Ben, and Will here with us today. How's everybody feeling this week?
Feeling great, ready to go.
Wonderful.
Good. Yeah, I figured we needed to kick it off with a nice Stone Cold vignette at the beginning. And I saw, he gave your boy Brett there the old stunneroo there.
Yeah, you always got to talk shit about Brett, huh?
Yeah,
that's sad.
For sure. So I know it's only been 7 days since we did the last podcast, but because Will was not here, for some reason it feels like it's been a lot longer than 7 days. But you guys had a lot of stuff that went on over the weekend, going to the convention and everything. So how was the convention?
Well, I'll start if they don't mind. I mean, trip wise, it was pretty good. Hotel was great. Merchandise selection there was great. A lot of good people. I think it's really, really hard to plan some of these events, and it's really hard to get talent to cooperate with you sometimes. And if you don't put in the work beforehand, it's really hard to get things to go your way. And, I guess there was a lot of issues. Personally, I didn't have any issues getting any of my stuff signed or getting it signed accurately or appropriately, but a lot of people did. And, for example, the headliner of that event, I guess he had a very strict time constraint, and when he was done, and it didn't matter if everybody got taken care of or not. And, that's sad for the fans, but, it all comes down to managing your event. And if you don't properly plan your event or put the work in and manage your event, those things happen. So we do have another event coming up here in like 3 weeks, I think, from today, as a matter of fact. And we'll all be in Indianapolis, and we're looking forward to that quite a bit. And, we've done a lot of work to prepare just for the guests that we're bringing in. We put in a ton of legwork for that. So I can only imagine what it's like to put on an entire event. I know I'm looking forward to it. I know Ben, Kev, all the admin team, I know everybody's looking forward to it. Again, I think it all comes down to, you get what you put in. And if you don't put in the right amount of effort, or, maybe sometimes it's the right amount of brain power. I don't know if it's strategy, you refuse to strategize. I don't know what it is, but I've been to great events and I've been to bad events. And if I was to rate the event that I was just at overall, rate the event, I'd give it about a 6,
Okay.
Only because of all the problems other folks had. Again, me, I didn't have any problems at all, but I know some others did. So that's where I'd put it. Not bad, not great. Just kind of a little above middle,
I hear you. Well,
It's what soured it, like I was saying a little bit before, what soured it for me is, knowing the people that, put it on or whatever, and seeing some incidents where they were talking down to some of their help, or, cussing them out, or, and some of the help is trying to do their best. And I didn't like the whole degrading your people that's either volunteering or helping you because they're doing their best.
yeah.
So I just think it was poor planning.
From a leadership perspective, the hardest thing out there to do is managing people. And some people are just not made to manage people. Some people are not made to lead a team, and that depends on the individual's mentality, But the first step you have to be is you got to be at least the smartest worker in the room. Even if you're not the hardest worker in the room, you got to be the smartest worker in the room. And if you're not, then you're always going to struggle to manage people.
That's very true. Real quick, I know Will knows the story because he was there with me, but when we went to WrestleCon in New Orleans, it was pretty damn packed, but it's WrestleMania weekend, so that's just how it goes. But I remember, because I think he was standing in line to see a big talent, so he was in line for a while, and I was just kind of like free walking around, and I talked to a few. I met James Ellsworth and Ron Simmons and stuff like that, and I remember there was this kid, and he was probably like 17 or 18. And I just remember him looking around at all the people that were there because it was super crowded. And he just says straight out for everybody here, he says, "This is a fucking joke."
Yep.
Like
I
he
remember
was
it.
He was so mad. And then I remember seeing him in line later, and he had a backpack on, so he had his hands on the straps like this. And some dude like nudged him by accident, and he went off. He was like, "Don't fucking touch me!"
Yep.
So,
I remember.
Wow.
I remember that very well. I remember that exact happening. But I also remember me and you were standing in line talking, and for some stupid ass reason, we had to fill out some paper to be in the line. Remember, to get the autograph we were getting, we had to fill out some sort of paper, like we had to write our information on it. And I was
That's
like,
crazy.
I told the guy that was in the line next to me, I said, "Excuse me, I just need to get to that paper." And he said, "No, you can go to the back of the line." I said, "No, I'm not cutting you in line. I just need to get the paper right there to fill my name out on it." And he's like, "No, you can go to the back of the line." I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me, man? I'm not trying to cut you. I'm not getting in front of you. I'm not taking your spot. I literally just need to put my name on this paper." Whatever vendor it was that was doing that, looking back on it, I really should have thought harder about it and been like, "Man, I'll never deal with them people again." But for some stupid ass reason, we had to fill out this paper to be in this line to get an autograph. It was so ridiculous. We had already bought our tickets. We'd already paid the money. We're already in the line. No one that worked there would tell you that you had to do this. And to this day, I've never had to do that again at any other convention. Just a stupid ass idea,
Yeah, they're probably just trying to get some chain mail going or something. I don't know, but
Yep.
Well, we got to tell the story real fast of it's just not really a story. It's how many times, because I bought one of those fast pass to get Sting to sign. So I'm going around people and I am getting cussed out. "Why are you going here? Why are you going in front?" "I have the fast pass." "Fuck those fucking fast pass." And it was starting off, "Hey buddy, I don't know what to tell you. Dish out $30. Don't cuss on me." So here I am every time I round the corner, I had about 12, 13 people cuss me out. It was nice.
Yeah.
And that was over this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's past weekend.
I know we had walked outside. Jess and I had gone outside. Donnie and Cam had gone outside. And we were going back in I think we were going back in to purchase some merchandise. And we put all our stuff away. And there was two guys coming out as we were going back in. And they were like, these people are just money hungry. They're just grubbing money because, we paid $80 to meet the top talent. And then another $20 to get in or whatever, and $80 for a photo. And, they don't even give you a chance to talk to them. And I will tell you, of all the times I've met top talent, that was the most rushed I've ever seen a top talent, like the most rushed ever, And so, I mean, that was a little disappointing for sure. And I know a lot of really great items out there got really, really messed up, I mean, and that's really the sad part is because, you can almost forgive the rush and you can almost forgive, a lot of the stuff. But the bad thing is, when you destroy great items, especially when they're hard to replace, that you carry that home with you for a long time. I can tell you.
They weren't going to let me meet Sting. They were just they handed, put the item in front of him and then handed it back to me and said, "Here you go." And I'm like, "No, I paid my money. I'm going to go up here and say something to him." Yeah. So, I just said hey to him. Wow. He's like, yeah. He said, "Yeah, is this your pen?" I said, "Yeah, it is." And that was it. But they weren't even going to let me step on the podium.
So Jess and I were standing there too, watching the whole thing, and we could see where they weren't really letting people talk to them or anything. They were just getting their shit signed, and it was like, sign the shit and get out, sign the shit and get out. It was like that time me and you met Goldberg, Steven. And remember, they were so fast. They put the stuff down on my item and smeared it. It was like that. And it was so fast, like, don't speak, don't breathe, just get your stuff signed and get the hell out of here kind of thing. Like Home Alone, right? Home Alone, right? He's like, leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here, So it was that kind of situation. But when we walked up there, he talked to us and we talked to him and we didn't have any of those problems. And the lady and the guy were like, "What do you got? How many pieces?" We showed them, but I mean, we had all of our photos on cardboard and ready to go. And then we had our figures and, different hands, laid them all out. So it was really easy for him just to, go down the line and do it. But I also saw others do that and their shit got totally messed up. So I don't know.
Yeah. I saw a couple of people that were talking about that in the group where it got, I guess it was like pinned marker draft or whatever, or drift.
Well,
That sucks, man.
Sting is notorious for jacking up items with paint pens. Like I've seen over the years him mess up a lot of items with paint pens. So he's kind of like Scott Steiner, where you would just never trust him with a paint pen ever, because it scares you whether or not you're going to get good stuff. But that's the second time I met Sting. It's the second time I got more than 10 items done each time, and none of my stuff came out bad. But I also had my markers prepped. I had them ready to go. They didn't have to shake them. They didn't have to dot them. They didn't have to do anything. It was all good to go. So, and honestly, if it wasn't for Jess being there with me, I would have really struggled because the lines were really tough. But, it's just one of the things. I will say the highlight of the show for me was meeting and talking to the Honky Tonk Man, and everybody shits on that guy. Everybody talks about how horrible he is, and he's not a good person. And I saw a lot of complaints about people saying they would never, get an autograph from him again or meet him again or whatever. But, I had a great experience with him. And I know Kev was right there with me, and we had a great experience. Jess was
fantastic.
He was great for us, so I don't know what happened with other people. I will say we tried to do a private signing with him, and, we made a pretty significant offer on a signing, and he told us no thank you, as if he didn't need the money kind of thing. So I don't know, maybe he hit the lottery or something. I don't know. I would have thought for sure he hasn't really been doing a whole lot. I would have thought he would have needed the money, but they told us no.
Oh. Yeah, I like the old Honky Tonk Man, but yeah, as far as the event not going so great, or just kind of being man, it's if you were there to meet Sting and it was your first time and so excited, that's got to be so much of a letdown.
One more thing about that. Speaking of, how you said a few minutes ago, this is a fucking joke. Let me tell you about a fucking joke. Meeting Greg the Hammer Valentine at any event, at any time, ever, anywhere is a fucking joke, because that dude, I don't know if he's senile or what, but that dude has always got a terrible attitude, and he's always got some sort of problem. But it's almost funny. It's almost comical. You just know he's going to be an asshole, so you just anticipate it. If you walked up to him and he wasn't an asshole, I don't know what you would do. I don't think you would know what to say to the guy.
Yeah. Small, his face would crack.
Yeah.
That's it. He is the Hammer,
Yeah. See, I went, my experience, I didn't know if I was going to get to go or not. The photos I was waiting on didn't show up till Saturday, so I wound up went up Friday and got to spend time with the guys. That was my favorite part of the whole trip, just hanging out with the guys. William, Kev, Jess, Donnie, Cameron, and Kayla. I had fun hanging out there. We're in a shithole town. I'm sorry if you live in Chillicothe. There ain't much there to do. It was a small town. So we pretty much were stuck at the hotel, which was fun because we got to hang out and we watched some old wrestling and got ready for before the event the next morning. But just hanging out with the guys, that was worth the trip. I know everybody traveled real far away to see it. Then as for the experience for the event, it was positive and it had some negatives. As for positive stuff, there was some good merchandise there. I do agree with that. Some of the pricing, right now conventions is going up. So the prices were about what you normally expect. I personally didn't get anything done by Sting because I saw how bad the line was. And at the time, I only had one item. So I was not going to waste my time doing that. But I had to stand in line for one of our members, for Rob Van Dam. And he just had a long enough line just as bad as Sting did. And it was terrible. He showed up late. He was stoned out of his mind. He smelled like weed. He looked like he didn't need to be there. And then luckily, if I didn't have a fast pass, I luckily moved up 5 feet, and it took an hour just to do that. And then thank God for Cam and Donnie coming back. They had a fast pass, walked me up and said, "Hey, I just got one auto. I need to get one auto signed from him, and I'm done." But yeah, I do give him props though that he did sit there. Did a good auto, and he inscribed it, which was even better. He inscribed one of a kind on there, so I can't complain about that. The auto turned out great. But as for the positives, too was I got to meet Henry Godwin. Mark, great guy. That was my favorite talent I met over the weekend. Then I got several contacts. That was the main goal to go there, was to get contacts. I was able to do that. And then, I mean, it was about a 4-hour drive for me. It wasn't too bad, but like me and Kev could say, we did go through some areas that
those hills.
Yeah, the hills have eyes. I'm glad our car didn't stop. So we had that experience, but overall, I'm right there like with Will, maybe a 5-10. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And like I said, as for the experience too, if I was a helper and I got fussed and cussed at, I would have been very ticked off, and I'd have told them to go screw themselves. As for a vendor, I would not go there and bring a talent. It's just too much of a cluster. If you don't bring one of the big talents, you ain't making no money. Then you're going to have the fans mad at you. So as a vendor, I would never vend that event or bring a talent there.
But I'll say this, though, because I've been to shows and events with everybody in this room except for Kyle. And I think Kyle and I are going to be experiencing a show together here really soon, from what I understand. But my experience in Chillicothe was better than my first WrestleCade. You know, wow. My first WrestleCade was complete crap. Remember that? Remember trying to sell autographs, and they had put these big metal runners like down the middle of the rows. So if you made a left down a row at WrestleCade, you couldn't see any of the talent on the right-hand side of the row. And if you made a right down the row, you couldn't see any talent on the left-hand side of the row. So it ended up costing us a lot of money and costing us a lot of sales. So I will say my experience here was much better than my first WrestleCade. And WrestleCade's a good show, a really good show, and put on by good people. But I would say this was better than that. And I would have rated that WrestleCade, that first one, I don't know, maybe a 3, because it was just so awful, you know, and it was oversold. They sold it over too much. Too many people in there at one time. You couldn't move. You couldn't get to the tables and get your stuff signed. It was terrible. I will say, you know, I agree with, you know, the hanging out, the camaraderie, all that stuff. Absolutely the best part. But, you know, that was all, you know, our stuff, not show related. But, yeah, that was definitely the best part. The worst part of the weekend for me, I thought it was absolutely horrible when we were all standing in there and they announced over the intercom the reason Arn Anderson wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, I understand you have to give a reason when people are running around looking for a talent and stuff. But, man, hearing that come over the intercom, I think everybody in there that was a parent just went, oh, holy shit, I can't imagine how bad that must be. You know, the guy's son's 37 years old. Him and his other son, Brock, had just been there for the event, but had to turn around and leave because, you know, his son passed away. So I really feel for Arn, and I really feel for his family. And, you know, I had a few pieces for myself and some of the members to get done that we couldn't get done. It was totally beyond our control. Arn wasn't there because he lost his child. So, but we will be getting that stuff signed in the future. And we'll get all that stuff taken care of for everybody too. But, you know, definitely thoughts and prayers go out to Arn. You know, I don't want to miss that point with talking about that convention. It was really sad to hear that come over the air.
Yeah, they could have done that completely different. That was uncalled for.
It's just terrible because, you know, you think about it, that's like a common thing for wrestlers. Their children passing away is so sad. You know, with Ric Flair and then, you know, Nash, unfortunately, a few months back. It's crazy, man.
Well, and I definitely feel for Nash too, because, you know, that it's just sad, you know, that whole Nash situation. You know, we've had the opportunity to work with Nash a couple times, and, you know, great guy, you know, so that's terrible. Absolutely.
Well, moving on, we have the Austin 316 Days segment. I figured we could show off a couple of cool things, talk about the man that is Stone Cold. Nice shirt. I'm wearing my brother's home team right now.
Oh yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So pulled out the old Broken Skull replica belt here.
Nice.
It's heavy. I was trying to hang it up in the new game room the other day, but I don't have like the clips or anything, so I was gonna kind of like rig it up with some thumbtacks or like some picture hangers. No, doesn't work.
You just need a belt. They sell belt hangers.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to do it for free.
Oh.
Because they wanted like $20-$30.
Speaking of belts, too, one of Austin's very first belts. I just got this one in. This was a late Christmas present from admin Donnie Morris to me, and one of my favorite belts of all time. Absolutely love this belt on the red leather. I mean, it is beautiful. It's heavy as all get out, but it is absolutely beautiful. And I showed a couple weeks ago, too. I got that U.S. title also in, which is another belt that Stone Cold, or before he was Stone Cold, he was Stunning Steve Austin, wore as well. But absolutely love this belt. There's nothing about this belt not to love. It is beautiful. And one of the belts that Austin helped make famous right here, along with some other ones. So really happy with that one.
Nice. Someone in the comments says it takes 8 thumbtacks. Now, I wasn't trying to actually pin the thumbtacks through the belt. I didn't want to do that. So I think I might just suck it up, bite the nut, if you will. I like to call it. I like to say bite the nut, and just get the damn clips to hang on the wall.
You'll be a lot happier if you do that.
Yeah. So I'll bite the nut.
Well, a lot of people put the tacks, like I've done a few belts, put the tacks together and just put the buttonholes in them.
Yeah, so I tried that, but I guess my tacks just weren't long enough or something, because it would only put a little tiny piece through, because those little belt holes are pretty long or thick, if you will.
So Chris Canfield says the belt hangers on WWE Shop are only $15.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he just said.
I'll be dipped in chocolate. I did not know it was that cheap. Maybe they're on sale.
They have sales on WWW.com all the time.
Actually, yeah, there's the 31.6% off for 316-day sale.
You know who else has great sales? The
Who?
tag team champs on Tuesday nights.
That's right. I got you a banner at the bottom that streams.
I know.
throughout.
I saw that. That's why I was commenting.
It's awesome.
They didn't even ask me to do that. I just did it for them because I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
But sometimes the bad guy. Yeah, I'll have to definitely check those belt clips. Thanks, Chris Canfield. I appreciate it. Yeah, they're $16.99 right now.
Yeah, now I got to check it out too.
Yeah, I might have to get me a few of them.
Ever since they got with Fanatics, they have sales all the time.
Awesome. Yeah, Kyle, did you wanted to show that?
Yeah, sure.
You showed it to us before the stream started, but let's see it on the stream.
It's not as cool as your guys' belts, but it's definitely old and interesting. So I found this randomly, and it's an old WWF Wire.com. This is back from 1999, and from what I understand, I was reading it. You hook it up into your computer, and then you set up a password and all this stuff, and you're able to actually download like things that he can actually say. And I don't know if like maybe back in the day you could buy new phrases for him, but he just comes out of this box and he has that platform he stands on, and you just hook him up to the computer, and his microphone shines red. And I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. I'd never seen one before, so
it is interesting.
I went ahead and picked it up. What would actually be really interesting is if after 24 years, if we pop this out of the box, if it'll work.
The thing is, you're going to have a disk drive, and a lot of things don't have disk drives now.
Yeah, and I bet you this domain doesn't even work anymore. I bet you this isn't even a website. WWFwire.com.
Yeah, when you open the inside of it and it had kind of like some screenshots of like what to do, you could just tell. You could just look at it. Like, it's old. You look at it and you're like, yeah, that's definitely like dial-up days.
Yeah, that was made for dial-up.
It might just be me, but all I could think is I would rip that thing out of the package and display it and love it forever, because you're never going to be able to use that on a computer, I wouldn't assume. But I will say I bought one of those McFarlane Stone Cold Steve Austin statues a while back. You guys know what those are, the big resin statues. They stand almost 2 feet tall. I bought one of those. God, I don't remember how many years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer now. And that thing is huge. It's heavy, as all get out. And that thing is beautiful. So I actually own 6 of those big resin statues. I own the Austin. I own the Triple H, the Bret Hart, the Piper, the Warrior, and there's Shawn Michaels was the other one. And of course, you can't find those anymore. You can't buy them anywhere. I think there's a couple on eBay, but not many. And now they're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, you know. And those are pretty badass. So I have seen the ones. I can't remember the company that makes them. They make the ones of like the Undertaker and the Hogan and maybe a Mike Tyson. Can't think of the company name, but there is, you know, another company that makes them too. But it's not WWE.
This comment right here says he used to have some Stone Cold walkie-talkies. I totally forgot that they had made walkie-talkies. Dude, they were like...
That's what I said at the very beginning when you first showed that box. I said, oh, is that the walkie-talkies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they used to smack WWF and WCW on anything they could think of, man.
Yeah, mostly WWF and WWE was always a powerhouse with merchandise. WCW was okay towards the late 90s, but then they just kind of ran out of steam. But they were getting better towards the late 90s. But before that, it wasn't easy to get, you know, good WCW merchandise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
WWF even had a camera. WWF did before, you know, you even got digital cameras. They had a camera. I think it came out in '99, and you could like take pictures of yourself and somehow put your picture on the Boss Man or something like that. I don't remember the name of it.
Back in 95, 94, 95, you actually got a 110 film camera from WWF when you joined the WWF fan club. They sent you a yellow, like 110 film camera, and it had WWF on it. It was part of the fan club stuff. That was back in 94, 95. I used to have one of those. And, you know, it's probably just sitting somewhere in some box, you know, but that thing is just so badass because you don't see stuff like that.
And
I feel like the WWF has always done really good at keeping up with the times and things that are in, and, you know, inventions and the internet. And I remember when TVs became HD, you know, WWE was big into HD and all that type of stuff. So I feel like they've always done a really good job of keeping up with the times. But Will, if you want, we can crack this baby open right now and get her set up and see what she looks like.
Crack it open, man.
All right.
You know,
While we're here.
You know, I'm all about ripping packages open. The other guys shy away from it. I rip the shit open. I love it.
I feel like the box though is just a lot about the times though. Like
it's nostalgic, but when you set that Austin up on its big, I think it'll be worth it.
It's for 316 day. For Christ's sake.
He's heavy. He's heavy too.
I just wish Brian Howarth was here to see that.
Look at him
ripped open, because Brian Howarth would be crying right now.
He can watch the replay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had WCW walkie-talkies, and I think you guys actually had one of the cars for sale a few months ago. Remember those little Hot Wheel WCW cars they made? My friend used to have every single one of them. I wish that I would have ended up with those, because I mean, I don't even really collect Hot Wheels, but I mean for some reason, like, I get more nostalgic for the WCW merch. I don't know why, but when I see it, I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
When it's the obscure stuff, you know, I had a Randy Savage. They called them Bash and Brawlers or something like that.
Yeah,
I remember.
They're basically just the wrestling buddies. They talk trash to you when you beat them up.
Right. Yep, I love those. I love those pillows. Problem is, how the hell do you display them? You know, I mean, I had a whole collection of them there for a long time, but how the hell do you display them? Like, properly display them?
I guess you just have to have them sitting on the couch, like a entertaining pillow or something. You know, whatever they call them. What do they call pillows that sit on couches?
A decorative pillow?
Yeah, just like a decorative pillow. There's
another term call them pillows. I think they just call them pillows.
It's like a throw pillow or something like that. It's like a throw pillow.
I think we're getting too technical on the pillow talk.
I tell you what, though, the base plate that comes with this guy is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah. See, so they actually put some effort into it. They didn't just it out like that Sting signing.
You know,
he does have this permanent bin though. He's like, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but he's like permanently curved.
For some
Like
reason,
that.
his bulge, man, is just coming off as a threat right now.
What the hell?
Dude, did you see how big that bulge was?
I wasn't looking, brother.
I wasn't either.
How could you not see that?
I don't buy a lot of basics, but I bought this. I bought this just because of that stand that's in there.
Man, everybody's been going crazy over that package. And I see that
sick.
thing in every Walmart I go in, I see those things.
I bought one.
I very rarely ever buy these, but the stand alone, now I got to rip it open, compete with Kyle. But the stand alone inside the package, I think, is worth it. Like, you could almost not have the figure and just have the stand. You know, the stand is badass. I don't know if I can get
pull that back up.
The glare off of it, but so in the old plate from the '86 WWF title, I mean,
see, that's such a genius way to do that.
It's badass. You know,
See, I bought the Kane versus Steve Austin 2-pack, and for really the stand.
It's like the front plate off the '86 WWF belt.
Pretty those championship showdown 2-packs, they have pretty sweet stands too. Or they come with those side plates or like the toy belts.
Yeah, well, this one's the actual stand though that they stand on, and that belt is right in the center of them. So you stand them on either side. You know, as you can tell, I don't buy a lot of basics. So for me, it was a big deal. You know,
somebody in the comments is upset about us opening all this stuff. Hey, it's not like we're opening autograph stuff. I'll do it. Nah, I'm not going to do that.
I've got a Kane right in front of me, autographed. I'll open.
Don't do it, man.
Don't do it.
Chris Canfield, he's the one don't want us to open it. But I mean, some of the stuff, I almost feel like you have to open it. You know, like what else were you going to do with the 2-pack? You know, the boxes are crap. There's no protectors for them. You know, you have to open them. You know.
The way I see it, man, if it's not signed, it's for playing. You know, pictures, posters, art prints, that's for looking. But figures need
I opened this today.
Oh,
I opened this today. I had to change out his accessories because he had like a hand, and because he's supposed to be like Trap Jaw from Master of Universe, but I put the gun and it's got the flame coming out the end of it.
So I actually got one. I just got one of those. It was a Sting one. I think I told you about it, Kev. I got a Sting one recently, and the package is pretty much trash on it. But I couldn't figure out what to do with it in my collection, so the only thing I can do is open it. So I'm going to have to open that bad boy up and play with it. You know?
Yeah, this is what I'm doing with this. So I have one of these signed, so I'm like, well, it's just sitting there, so I opened it.
Yep.
They're awesome opened.
Oh, yeah, wasn't it? It had like The Fiend and Daniel Bryan in it, I think, right? I sold somebody when I did my last sale. I had one of those championship showdown packs. I almost didn't want to get rid of it, but
yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's got the Fiend versus Daniel Bryan. It's got those side plates, one of Daniel Bryan and one of the Fiend.
Yeah, those side plates are sick, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really tell, but I mean that's kind of what it looks like. Shit, I don't know. It's hard to.
You wearing a Buccaneers shirt too?
Yep. Right there. I mean, it don't look bad for a basic, you know.
No.
Yeah.
Hello.
So I'm in a little bit of a pickle right now because I have one that I want to open. It's new to me, and I think I saw a comment just pop here that says, "Let's get that Mysterio open and check him out." And I don't know. I posted on the page earlier today.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
I'm not set on opening this thing up, but it is one that I have that I think I would like open. And that's this one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh yeah, I did see you post about that.
You know the good
and I am struggling with this because it still works. Like it's gonna sound terrible on here, but
so I bought the Goldberg one. Goldberg. Yep.
I don't know if I can open this one.
I bought the Goldberg one.
I don't know if I can.
The more I looked at it in the box, I was like, you know what? I got to open this up. I opened the Goldberg one.
Hey, Kyle, buy you a second one. Get one that has the worst box, and then open that one.
You know what they say,
No.
two makes a good
I'm
shoe.
not buying.
Man.
I'm not buying another one of these. I got a good deal on it, but if you guys pull this up on eBay, like, I got a good deal on it. One of the members hooked me up. I posted it, tell him I was looking for it, and he sent me a message saying, "Hey, I got one," and he gave me a solid deal on this thing, and
He let you have it
but
for
I'm not buying another.
$2,000.
I'm not buying another.
$2,000, sir. Nah,
Here you go. I'm gonna show off this real fast. Boogs,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
booging out.
fellow
He doesn't do any more
admin.
guitar stuff.
No, he needs to. But fellow admin Brian Howell sent me this, and it's an awesome figure.
So between now and next week, we're gonna have to figure out how to get the stuff to show without the glare on it, because that glare just kills our stuff. We got to figure that part out, Steven.
And then,
Yeah.
I guess if we're showing figures this week, here's the two that I loved.
What you'd probably need to do is
You got to
flip it.
open one though. You got to open one, Ben.
Probably have to flip
These
your
are going to
camera
get
around.
open.
Well, see, this is from Brian, so if I'd open this, I'd probably really break his heart.
Don't puss out, Ben. Don't puss out. Everybody else opens.
All right, which one should I open first? The Crow?
Rip it open. Rip it open.
All right, Crow's getting ripped open.
Here we
You
go.
look
Damn
so
peer pressure.
excited. You look so excited that you're doing that.
Well, I have nowhere to put him. That's my thing.
Yeah,
He's going right back in a bag, but
you're gonna
I
get some
don't
figure
wanna-
stands.
just my thing is, if you haven't seen what they were doing, is Mattel made a kind of a post that the next big purchase, they might be making something that's going to cost more than the arena. And I'm praying that it's the new WCW Nitro arena.
Me too.
And if
I've
it
heard
is,
that
I've been
rumor.
starting to collect a lot of the older WCW figures, and then I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to open that and just have them all displayed.
I agree.
I can't remember where I saw that, but somebody
San Diego Comic Con had the display last year or a few months ago.
Yep.
Yeah, they had the display, and it was badass. And then, but I thought they were bringing it out, but they haven't mentioned it yet. It was just display. But if they bring that, I will. It's probably going to be $200-$300 or more. But I'll pay for it.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be more because that other set was $250 originally.
Yeah.
And, it turned out that was a pretty good deal. I don't know why a lot more of us didn't jump on that, but I guess just the thoughts of $250 for something we weren't even sure if it was going to be made, and you had to wait like 6 or 8 months to get it. I understand why I didn't buy it, but I have been seeing a lot of those come way down. People bought a bunch of them, and now they can't, make big money off of them, so they're just kind of selling them to get rid of them.
He's loose.
Someone in the comments wants to know when we started collecting, because he's newer to the game. I actually got into collecting fairly recently, like I say within the last 3 to 4 years, mostly because of Will wanting to do the group and everything. And attending the live events and stuff, eventually you're just like, I'd like to buy some stuff. And then you just start buying stuff.
What is it we used to always say to each other? I like shit.
Yeah, I like to buy shit. Yeah.
I like to buy shit. Yeah, exactly.
I told Will in a private conversation earlier this week, I said, I couldn't figure out why I've been having such a bad week. And then I remembered it's because I don't have any new wrestling shit coming in the mail.
Yep.
I took a week off,
I know the exact
I know.
feel.
I asked Ben to hold all my stuff until the expo in Indy, and I was talking to my wife last night, and I'm like, man, I really wish that stuff would get here. I don't want to wait until that. I don't want to wait.
But
That's
man, waiting because Will brought me some stuff up. Man, waiting is great because you get to see all. You forgot some of the stuff you bought, and you get to realize, hey, I bought that. That's awesome, man. Because that's what I did with them. I signed my Hulk Hogan magazine. I'm like, man, I did buy this. I forgot all about it.
Yeah,
you gonna do it?
Kev had a second Christmas, and
There it is.
oh yeah, rip them out of there.
That's the only problem is they put them deep in these plastics, and then that was quick. They put them deep in this plastic, but the elites have like the bands on, and I'm always afraid when I cut them that's gonna rip the arm or the accessories off. But yeah, this one's badass. This
Yeah,
scorpion sting, the surfer sting.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one a lot. They made one of those back in 17 or 18. It was a Toys R Us exclusive, and he had orange pants. Remember that?
Yep. But I think it's a Build-A-Figure, isn't it?
I don't remember.
JJ Dill was. I think it's a Build-A-Figure.
I think that was a different set. The one I'm thinking about was like a WWE Network Spotlight edition. It was like a Toys R Us exclusive. It was pretty badass. Go ahead, Steven.
I will buy that.
Brian, even though he couldn't be here, he did send me a few images of some new stuff coming out. I thought it was pretty sweet, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look here. So you got yourself a retro style Piper here with a microphone, and of course you got to have the kilt.
I love it.
I like it. I'd buy that one, and I don't even like that whole figure line. But I would.
I might have to buy them because I'm like the one. I see the challenge, and I got to collect them all.
Yeah,
I got all of them except for the new one.
Right. I think there's another one too.
Hogan. Yep.
That is. I love that
nice,
one too.
Good face scan on that.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. But nothing compares to that new SummerSlam Hogan Elite coming out. I'm gonna have to buy like 5 of those just to feel satisfied because that's a badass figure coming out.
Yeah, I think this is a different one too.
No, it's just undressed. So the Piper one, he comes with his shirt also. I saw these guys earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I have 2 pics of the same one. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll get him in the jumpsuit.
Yeah,
there he is.
I might have to buy 2 that Hogan, one to open and one to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Yeah, because I like the chain and the weight belt. Yeah,
I'm still not on board with this whole getting a bunch of extra hands thing. I'm sure somebody likes having the options, but here's an Ultimate Edition Eddie Guerrero.
There we go.
And that one's gonna be sweet. I definitely gonna need to get me one of them. I still need to get a razor. I need to find one before
they're on back order till April, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, then no rush on that then.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy this one.
I like that Eddie. That's the WrestleMania 20 version, right?
Yeah, it looks accurate.
I would think so. Yeah.
Belt time period for the belt, and
well, the reason I say that is because of the boots. Because remember, the one boot is in the Hall of Fame or in the WWE Treasures thing. If you look at the boots, remember, Angle ripped the boot off, and that's how Eddie ended up pinning him. So if you look at the boots, I think that's the WrestleMania 20 version.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. Hold on, let me see if I can just pull something real quick. Eddie Guerrero.
That's an awesome belt, man.
Yeah, and I think you can go on and pre-order these as of today.
I hate pre-orders. God, I hate pre-orders.
I know. I'm still waiting on the Target, the Brett and the Hogan.
I know. I hate.
And
pre-orders.
also the NWOs, the retros.
Oh yeah, I hate pre-orders.
Yeah, me, real quick. Me and William had some bad experience on pre-orders. The Sting that come out with the half the Derby. When that came out, they canceled our pre-orders, and then they're all over Walmart.
Yep.
So pre-orders are not fun.
So the pants aren't correct, but the boots are correct.
Yeah.
For WrestleMania 20, you notice that?
I did notice that.
I've seen it.
And then they really shit the bed on this Ultimate Ray right here. Like,
so that's got to be, if you go back to that Guerrero, that's got to be like SummerSlam 05 or something Guerrero or something, because especially if they're releasing them at the same time as Eddie.
Yeah.
I don't know what event that is from. I'm sure one of the members knows, but I know for sure those boots are the ones that they talked about in the Treasure Show, that they have one of the boots.
Okay. But yeah, it definitely seems like they put all the detail and effort into the Eddie, and then the Ray, they were like, yeah, you get one extra pair of hands and an extra face, which that's nightmare fuel for you right there. Then he looks stoned out of his mind right here. He must have been hanging out with RVD.
He'll be retired. be retiring soon.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's all we have today for new figures. Not a lot of stuff announced right now.
The best Ray they released is the one that Kev bought. I sold Kev one. I only had one. It was signed, and it was like a black and white Rey Mysterio figure. I sold it probably 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, somewhere in there to Kev, and that's probably the best Rey Mysterio figure they ever made.
Yeah, best one. I agree, because I would have bought it if it wasn't, because I don't own very much Ray.
Yeah, it was a badass.
Is it the Cinco de Mayo one where he has the webs on his mask and all that? That
yeah,
black and white one?
The white and black.
Yep. I think that's the best Ray they've ever made.
See, I like the old WCW one with the question marks. And then that newer 100, 101. I like that one too.
So Matt asked if that Rey Mysterio or the Eddie Guerrero was from SummerSlam 02, but that championship that he had, he didn't have that until 2004. That's why I was speculating maybe it was something in that era, because Guerrero wasn't WWE champion until 04. He won it in February of 04. So I'm not sure, unless maybe they just messed up on the pants color. I don't know, but I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I definitely want the Eddie. I don't know if I want the Ray though. But
So
that's the thing about Ray is like everybody loves Ray.
Earlier, Matt asked, how long everybody's been collecting, and technically, I mean, I've probably been buying, selling, and trading since 2000, so 23 years for me. But I mean, technically, I've been collecting since I was a kid because I still have all my old Hasbros and my old magazines and all that stuff. So if you really wanted to say, I've been collecting since 91. So, I mean, quite a long time, 32 years. But, as far as buying, selling, and trading, I would say since 2000, before Facebook, before internet was really big, I would go to a lot of different places and buy stuff. And then, of course, as we start growing up and we get jobs and, we start making money, then, we started buying, selling. But, even before that, I would go to the flea market when I was in high school and look for old WWF magazines and look for old Hasbros and look for, different things like that and collect. So, I was doing Facebook buying, selling, and trading long before we ever did the first live sale, which, as all you guys know, we were the first ones to ever do an all wrestling live sale on Facebook. And that's been 4 years ago now, but I've been doing it for at least 30 years, even before, we were selling and trading as well. So.
Mm-hmm. I got a quick story about how long I've been collecting. And first, if it wasn't for me buying wrestling figures, I never would have met my wife. I was buying wrestling figures, and she was working there, facing up the the product or whatever. And something dropped while she'd done it. And I said, "Don't you hate when it happens?" And we started talking. And then I went back in there the next day and got her phone number. The rest is history. But I was in there buying wrestling figures, and if I wasn't, we never would have met.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
As
for me,
figures bringing people together.
Yeah. As for me, I've been collecting, like I said, ever since I've been a child. Off and on, it went from wrestling, Ninja Turtles, He-Mans, all throughout the year, sports stuff, and then it finally slowed down. Like I guess once I got to high school or a little bit around college time, I kind of slowed down, and then finally picked it up like right here before COVID and all that, before we started doing the live sales and stuff. Because right before doing the wrestling and stuff, I was starting to collect the Hasbros, and before then was collecting the He-Mans. So I got a lot of other stuff besides wrestling. But as for selling, probably over the last 4 years, but off and on. But yeah. But like I said, I could always remember my first wrestling figure that I bought was a Hasbro, which was either the Gorilla Press Slam Hogan or the Macho or the $1 Million Man, the very first $1 Million Man Hasbro.
That's a great question too. So what was everybody's first Hasbro? Mine was the Brutus the Barber Beefcake with the shears that was like the jumper with the sleeper hold. That was mine. That was my very first one.
Yeah. Those were my first two. I got them, I think, at the same time. Because I always, when growing up, I didn't have a brother. I had 2 older sisters, so I always spent time on the weekend with my cousin who was about a year or 2 younger than me. So every weekend we go to, like back then, Walmart, and his mom would always at least buy him a toy. So of course, if I tagged along, she didn't feel bad for me not getting nothing, so she'd buy me one. So we'd always have to keep it around the same price range. So he'd get Ninja Turtles or whatever, and then I would get the wrestling figures, and those were the first 2 I got.
Nice. What about you, Steven?
The first Hasbro, real quick, the first one I had was the one with the cowboy hat, Macho Man cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I tried when I was a little kid. I tried to get some off my brother, and my brother wouldn't let me have any. So I've never had any. I left my Hasbro Desire in 1994. Or whenever it was.
He's been asking me almost his whole life for my Hasbros.
I haven't asked in a while.
You give me some betas?
I wouldn't say no.
What about you, Kyle?
So as far as collecting, obviously when I was a kid, going to the store, getting the action figures, playing with them, I was that kid that set up 20, 30 action figures in the ring, doing all their finishing moves, and let them sit there for a week and wanted to murder anybody that got within 5 feet of it because I didn't want them to knock it down. But actually collecting probably about 10 years ago, and I would say in the last year or 2 it's really been taken off kind of crazy like. But
do you have any Hasbros?
It's been fun.
Do you have any Hasbros? And if so, what was your first one?
So my first Hasbro was actually a lot buy. So I bought a lot. They came with green and black suited DiBiase. It came with the Barber Beefcake with the scissors, and it came with the Rockers, and then it came with, who else did it come with? It came with like 2 or 3 more. I know there was an Ultimate Warrior in there, but his nose was broken. I've yet to be able to find one without a broken nose.
I swear, even in the packages, the nose is already busted.
Damn, really?
You can always tell with the Hasbros too. Like when you're searching for them now, you can always tell which ones like were big back then and played with, because like all the big guys, like your Hogan's broken fingers, paints off of them. Your Warriors, they're all chipped up, missing paint, no nose. But I've actually sold that a lot since then.
The worst was Doink, because you always see Doink like this because half of his missing on the Doink Hasbros.
Yeah, I actually just ran into one of those at a local shop, and he was missing that finger.
Oh yeah,
he was doing the shocker.
Yeah, he was doing the shocker, and they were still asking like $40-$50 for that thing.
Oh yeah.
So the Hasbros, I like them. They have a nostalgia to them, but for the money and the condition that I've been finding them, I don't get into them. But I am still looking for a loose 1, 2, 3 kit. So
yeah, so is everybody.
Yeah.
So does anybody in this room have? So does anybody in this room have a loose 1, 2, 3 kid?
No.
Should I get one? That's gonna be my first Hasbro, the 1, 2, 3 kid.
You got about $1,000.
Yeah,
loose.
exactly.
You got 500.
I buy on eBay with PayPal paying for $250 every 2 weeks.
There you go.
I actually ruined one of my buying relationships. I didn't ruin it. With a place up in northern Indianapolis, and they had one, and he was in good shape, and they wanted like $400 for him, and he was in the case. He looked good. He was loose, and I called them, said, "Hey, I'm on the way to come get it." They said, "Okay, great. Show up there." And now I used to buy a lot from them, and got there, and they're like, "Oh no, this is $500." And I'm like, "No, it's $400. I know it is. It's stickered on the foot." We went back and forth, and then it didn't end well. And then they're like, maybe a day later, I went back and they had like an $800 sticker on that thing, and I was like, "I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done with it."
Yeah.
I was mad. I was mad because on the phone we agreed to $400 because that was the sticker price on them, and when I got there, they weren't honoring it. Ruined it for me.
And that's the thing too, is it's actually illegal to do that, like to not honor a price that you have advertised, but nobody really reinforces it. You know what I mean? So it's like I've been there too. Even something petty like how much are the? I was at a pawn shop. I was like, how much are these DVDs over here? And they're like, they're $2. And then like I brought up this one DVD, and they're like, this one's $3. I'm like, I don't want it. Yeah, sure, it was only $1 extra, but like you already told me it was $2.
Yeah. And I don't know what they're doing because they run an eBay store. Yeah, like they run an eBay store too, and they had it on there for $1,000. I learned this afterwards, and they were kind of floating in between that $4,000 and $1,000 range, depending on like which auctions closed out on eBay and what they sold for. It was how they were doing their market adjustments, and I didn't jive with it, and it pissed me off, and I walked away from it.
Robert apparently says he has the 1, 2, 3 kit. He has all of them other than the mailaways. He also has a complete magazine collection, right?
Yeah,
He does.
And also, doesn't he have a complete LJN as well? LJNs.
I think he said something about that earlier, actually, or somebody was talking about
We're close
LGNs.
to having all of them. Yes. Awesome, man.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is pretty sick, man. We got to have Robert on as a guest one day so he can show us how to collect.
Yeah.
Hey, we're missing a lot of good comments. Can we go back and catch some of these comments? We're missing a lot of good ones.
I put all of them up. Which ones are you talking about?
First good one I saw was Burdick saying, come to think of it, I'm surprised Rey Mysterio was never a choice for an OSFTM WCW figure.
Yeah, I put that up.
And then Robert Burdick said, don't forget the Ghostbusters figures back then, too. And then
I got them.
Robert Burdick talks about the Dick Tracy line because Burdick and I both have a collection of Dick Tracy stuff. And
They
then,
were hot. They were.
Thomas said his first Hasbro was the Gorilla Press Hogan and the green suit DiBiase. Seems like that DiBiase was popular for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I guess everybody needed to buy a good guy and a bad guy to have a match, right?
Right.
And then Ray says his thing with collecting is he ends up with so much he decides to sell, then the addiction makes him start up again. I think we've all been there. Burdick says his first Christmas for Hasbros, he received 4 Hasbros, Slaughter being the first one he opened. And then let's see, he said, Hogan, the Boss Man, the second variant, and the Undertaker first variant. And then also Mom, did get him the ring too. I still have my first ring with the flag and everything else too. I have my very first Hasbro ring. Now the ropes are like shit because you wore them out because the only way to play with the Hasbro ring was to put your hands over the one side Hasbro ring to play with the guys in the ring. It wasn't like you could like play with them in the ring. You had to like put your arms over the top of the ropes to play with them. So you always had one of the 4 sides where the ropes were pushed down because that's where your arms went into the ring to play with the guys.
Right.
So if you ever played with a Hasbro ring, you already know what I'm talking about. And then, he says he had a 1, 2, 3 kid and a complete collection. Haku was his last purchase, his Christmas present to himself. I'm not sure what Haku, because there was no Hasbro Haku.
No, it's the LJN.
Yeah, he's talking about the LGNs. He said he had almost all of them, but Warlord. He's missing Warlord.
Turnbuckle was always broke. I never had a turnbuckle break, but I did lose one time. And then, what was the worst, too? Being like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, whatever it was, and you would like lose the nightsticks. You would lose the Mountie shock stick. You would lose all the little pieces. Demolition's helmets would never be found again. Razor Ramon's chains. So nowadays, when you want to buy a Hasbro, you can generally buy a Hasbro cheaper than you can buy an accessory for a Hasbro because that's what everybody lost was the accessories.
Yeah, it's just like that with Nintendo games too. Everybody has the game, but no box, no cardboard box, and manual.
And my other ones beside Hasbro's, I like the Gloobs. I had the Gloob ring with the WCW where it had the 4 sides of the red steel cage. You put them on the corner and they jump like off the top rope, like bounce.
If there's one line that I miss very much in my collection is at one point I got rid of all my OSFTMs. That was from the package on the back of Flair, but I missed the Vader that I had. I had an almost near perfect Vader and the second Hogan where he had the pants on, from the OSFTMs. if there's one line that I actually miss having, it's that line. I love that line, and that came out in 95. I think it came out in 95. Really, really good line. And they put some losers in the line too, like Alex Wright and some other ones. But as far as
shout out Alex Wright.
Yeah, shout out to Alex Wright, you loser. But I'm just kidding about that. But they did put some bums in there too. But the best thing was like the Hogan. They had 2 variants of Hogan. They had 2 or 3 variants of Macho. They had 2 or 3 variants of Sting and Flair. But that Vader, man, I don't know why that Vader always stuck out in my mind as like my favorite OSFTM figure.
Man, the Nasty Boys had like 6 variants.
Harlem Heat,
orange shirts, yellow shirts. Yeah,
Heat too.
Can't forget about the Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
He had an OFSTM.
Yeah, you had Bubba Rogers, Kevin Sullivan, Johnny B. Bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Jimmy Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Robert says Alex Wright, the twerking turd.
Yeah.
All right, you
he
guys
was better
ready
than the Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
I like Disco Inferno. Don't be hating on Disco Inferno.
Oh, I'm gonna hate on him. I hate him.
All right, let's move into our magazine covers here. So we've got a handful of selections here for some of our favorite magazine covers. I actually don't have a lot of experience with the magazines other than when they did the Raw versus SmackDown, so I didn't actually pick any, but the rest of the guys definitely got us plenty to look at here. So first up,
beautiful.
We've got Diesel, or I guess his Big Daddy Cool Diesel, and Bret Hart on the cover here, signed. Will, this was from you, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, you got to remember, magazines like this, especially back then, this is all pre-internet. So, really to find out what was going on or what was going to happen next in wrestling, you had to watch the shows every week because there was no replays, there was no DVR, none of that stuff. You could VCR tape it, but a lot of your news and your information you would find out in like tips and hints in the upcoming issue of the magazine. So it was a really big deal. I mean, I've talked about it 1,000 times. There's just no greater feeling being a kid and going to the mailbox in the middle of the month, and every day you're going and checking to see if your monthly magazine came, so you could read it from cover to cover 2 or 3 times before the next one came, or going to the grocery store. Like my grandma used to take me to the grocery store all the time, and you would go over and look at all the magazines, and if a new one came out, maybe it wasn't one you had a subscription to. It was just so nostalgic, looking back on it. And today's youth and today's world will never have that. But, you didn't have the internet. So that's really how you found out a lot of your information. And you read it from cover to cover, and you believed every word of it. You believed every bit of it, even though, we all know the truths about professional wrestling. But back then as a kid, you're reading that stuff and you read, the columns like by Vic Venom, and you're like, oh my gosh, this stuff's coming up and this guy might turn bad and, he might be a bad guy soon. And I mean, it is just unbelievable. You'll never be able to express the great feelings and the nostalgia of going to the mailbox or going into, the store and finding a magazine you didn't have. And like you would literally count your quarters and your change and go into the store with your quarters and your change and hope you had enough to get, the issue that wasn't coming in the mail because you didn't have a subscription to it. I mean, that's how important it was back then.
Not only that, but even into like the late 90s and early 2000s when I was getting the magazines, there wasn't a lot of DVD documentaries out at the time yet. And of course there was no WWE Network. So if you wanted to actually learn more about somebody that you watched on TV, you had to get into the magazines, and, they would do like interviews and articles, stuff like that. So it was very interesting to learn more about the person playing the character. And then into the teen years, those magazines had a lot of, a lot of them diva photos, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, now this particular magazine, we did our basically our 4 favorite covers basically. So this one is probably my second favorite of all time. Bret and Diesel had wrestled 3 times, and the first 2 times, nobody was winner. It was always something stopped the match or whatever. Nobody had won. So this was going to be the match to determine which one of them would actually truly be the WWF champion, and there would be a winner no matter what would happen. So then when they put that on the cover, you know, and you got Brett and Diesel struggling over that belt, I mean, it's just an absolutely awesome cover. Probably my second favorite of all time. You'll get to my first favorite here in a few minutes, but this was such a big cover that really built you up into believing that Survivor Series 95 match between Brett and Diesel was going to be one of the greatest matches you've ever seen. And when I had a conversation with Brett back in 2018, when me and you were there, Steven, we had that private signing with him, he asked me specifically, he said, what match is your favorite match of mine? And I told him this match, my favorite of all time. He said, really? That match instead of like me and Owen or me and Bulldog? And I said, yeah, this was my favorite match because it was so exciting, and I really thought, you know, Diesel was going to win it because, you know, it was the first time on WWF TV you saw a wrestler get knocked out of the ring through a table and all these other things that were happening, and, you know, you really felt like, oh my gosh, Brett's beat. And then Brett, of course, rolls him up and pins Diesel, becomes 3-time champion. And back then, other than Hogan, you didn't see a 3-time WWF champion. It wasn't something that you saw, so it was a really, really big deal. It was a really big match. So this cover will always be special to me. That event will always be special to me for sure. So one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, Robert says in the comments, 1995 Survivor Series MCI Center, my hero Brett beats my mom's big sexy man for the belt.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that cover. It's good.
Now that's my favorite of all time. That one there.
Love it.
That's my favorite of all time. You know, they built it up so huge that Lex was going to beat Yoko and Lex was going to bring the belt back to the U.S. and all that stuff. But, of course, that's not what ended up happening. But, you know, I have the actual picture of this, too, hanging on my wall. But, you know, one of my favorite covers ever made. Actually, that is my favorite cover ever made. And I've got it signed by a couple guys, and I'll probably continue to add some more autos to it. But, you know, what a great cover for the times. You know, it really looks like, you know, the big hero up on the shoulders, and they're all celebrating him. And, you know, absolutely one of my favorites of all time. I remember being in Columbus, Georgia in 1993 and going into a grocery store and asking my grandma if I could get that magazine because the cover was so awesome. I had to read it. I had to see what was inside that magazine, and she let me get it. And from there on, man, every magazine that come out, I was totally addicted.
So this is the one that started it for you, huh?
That's the one that started the addiction, yeah.
Beautiful. There we go.
I threw that
good
one in there. I threw that one in there. That's a program, an event program from WrestleMania 5. But cover-wise, it's just total fire. Total fire. Of course, I got it signed by Hogan, got it certified, but, you know, it's just a total fire piece. You know, it's hard to beat something like that. And literally, there's fire on the cover. I mean, it's just totally cool. So I love that cover.
Claim.
Nice.
Claim.
No. This year, another one, too, going into SummerSlam 97, you know, Brett had threatened if he didn't win, he was going to retire from wrestling. And, you know, you look at that, you look at The Undertaker in the background, and you thought, oh, my God, there's no way Brett's going to beat The Undertaker for the title, you know, and just an all-out beautiful cover. Look at that cover. You know, that's back
That's
then.
pretty nice.
They put a lot of thought into the covers and stuff back then, and they did a good job. So, I mean, when you saw that thing come out of the mailbox, you were super excited to read it.
And so we got a comment here. My first WWF magazine was from either October or November 91 with Brett on the cover holding the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep. That was Thomas Brunette said that.
Thomas Brunette.
I think I just sold one of those today. The magazine he's talking about. I think I just sold it today.
I like how the Undertaker kind of blends into the clouds. Honestly, I didn't even notice him at first when we pulled it up here.
And that almost reminds me of that Wrestling with the Shadows too. That
the
movie, like that, how the look of it.
Well, and that's during the time period they were filming, because remember they started filming in July of '97, and that's the September issue, I think, of '97 or August. I can't remember what issue that is. I think it's September of '97. So
Yeah, I think it says August.
August '97. Yeah. So that was right during the time period because they started filming before the July '97 pay-per-view.
If Brett would have lost at SummerSlam 97, he would not have been able to wrestle in the U.S. ever again. I actually just watched that pay-per-view a couple of weeks back because I've been rewatching the Attitude Era. Just got past King of the Ring 98 in my current rewatch. But he was cutting some really good promos, anti-America at the time. Even the stuff that he was saying about Shawn Michaels being in the Girly magazine and all that, having sunny
Great
days.
stuff.
So
He's getting a lot of good heat.
Robert Burdick said Lex should have won the belt in '93, biggest drop in '93. So yeah, at SummerSlam he should have won that belt. And they could have done so much with that. They still could have kept with their Survivor Series plans. All they would have had to have done was let Lex win it at SummerSlam, and then on Monday Night Raw had a rematch, had Borga interfere. Yoko bonsais him a couple times, takes the belt back, and you still have the build up for Survivor Series. There was no reason to not let him win that belt. And I've actually had personal discussions in a hotel room with Lex Luger about that match. And he said the reason he didn't win at that SummerSlam 93 is because the plan was for him to go on to WrestleMania 10 and win it in Madison Square Garden. But then going into Madison Square Garden, plans changed and he didn't win.
Well, damn. Someone said that they're a huge Junkyard Dog fan. Do you guys have any signed items from him, or do they even exist?
They
exist, but they're few far between, and if you get any, make sure they're certified.
Yep.
And they'll be expensive.
You realize if Brett had lost at SummerSlam 97, you never would have had the Montreal Screwjob.
That's right.
Yep.
Right.
Is this mine, Steven?
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah. What we got?
Matter of fact, I actually got it right here too.
That's a great cover. I got a couple of those. I got a couple of those to get signed.
Yes, like I said, the real world's heavyweight champion.
Yep.
Like I said, that's set up, right there, right after the Royal Rumble. When the Royal Rumble, Ric Flair coming from WCW to WWF. That famous saying, the real world's heavyweight champion.
Yep.
I love this cover. Like I said.
Black butterfly robe.
Oh,
yes, I love the robe. Yeah, beautiful robe. Like I said.
Probably Rick's most famous robe, honestly.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
I used to have that Defining Moments figure of his in the black robe. That shit was nice.
Yep.
I wish I still had it.
Yeah. Ric Flair, that was a good one. Undertaker. It's kind of hard because I'm torn because I love this shot because I'm not really a big huge Undertaker fan, but I love this image. Also, the heart and soul that William just had, and in the WrestleMania 13 is another. But you can't go wrong with any Undertaker covers. Undertaker from his early. When he started, his spotlights and stuff, anything with the Undertaker on a magazine cover, you got to recognize him because he has some great magazine covers.
Absolutely.
And that one with the big gold, like I said, that was June of '97, and this one still actually does. It is complete, has their cards. Some of these cards could be actual the rookie cards to certain ones, and the one I see on here that is huge is the King of Hearts, the Owen Hart card still in it.
Yep.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to give you cool shit with
Owen
magazines.
Hart cards on the inside. So talking about Owen 316 today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they used to give you all kinds of cool swag with a magazine, man.
Yeah.
It's like not only do you get great articles.
Owen 316 says, I just broke your neck, right?
Yep.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had some savage promos back in the day, man.
And first time ever professional wrestling being on a major sports magazine, Sports Illustrated. I think, matter of fact, I think Hulk Hogan's the only one to actually ever cover Sports Illustrated. I could be wrong, but
other than a chick, because I think Trish was on there, or it might have been Maxim or something. Or
yeah, I
Muscle
don't
and
think
Fitness.
they've done. Because I used to have a subscription to Sports Illustrated. And I don't remember any other WWE or WCW talent, wrestling talent on Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, I could be thinking of Muscle and Fitness, but I mean that's awesome. This is a good cover.
Yeah. So, like I said, you can't go wrong with Hulk Hogan on any of the covers. So, like I said, really nothing wrong with that. But like I said, to be a major sports magazine, a cover right there is probably my favorite cover of all time.
Let me ask you this: has Hogan ever had a bad cover?
No. I got several over there I couldn't choose from, but that one is. I got some honorable mentions, but yeah, but that one right now probably speaks to me as the main one of Hogan. That's his first one, really, because it was 85. It might have had a WWF before then, but like I said, first major, especially right there around when Hulkamania was running wild. This is 85, so 83 was Hulkamania, but to be on an actual major Sports Illustrated cover,
I agree.
Yeah, Robert said that's one of his favorite mags right there. I'm not sure if he's talking about the one before this or not, but
probably both.
Yeah,
possibly both. Yeah.
And here's another one I can't go wrong with. One of my favorites of all time for the tag team, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. It says either go for the title or go away. Which, of course, this was a famous wrestling magazine, The Wrestler. Either the PWI or The Wrestler. Back before WWF days, these were your major wrestling magazines. Of course, inside there, a lot of it is just black and white. Some might have posters, some might have colored. But just for that cover right there, that's a badass team right there, with the chains, the paint, the face painted.
But I was talking about though, the importance of the magazines it's just unfathomable because especially magazines like The Wrestler and Inside Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Illustrated, non-WWF magazine, they had so much about rumors and upcoming stuff, and so much would come true that when you would read that stuff, you were really getting an idea of what was going to happen and what was to come.
Yeah. Hey, and before we go on, I got 2 honorable mentions. Like I said, because I can't forget these guys. Another 2 that had great covers was Ultimate Warrior and the Macho Man. You couldn't go wrong with those. But these are actual programs. Like I said, that one's badass. The WrestleMania 6.
Oh, yeah, that one's nice.
Title for title. The Ultimate Challenge. That one is a favorite. And then you got Survivor Series. Any of the Survivor Series right there. And I was looking at it while Ian was talking. I didn't notice that Demolition and Powers of Pain were on there too, but our 2 guests coming up. But that one, and then real quick too, and Kev's got it, the Mega Powers with Miss Elizabeth, Hulk, and Macho. That was probably another one. But unfortunately, I don't have that program. But as for magazines, those are some good honorable mentions on my side.
A lot of people don't have that program because they're very hard to get, especially in good shape. And they're even harder to find signed too. So a lot of people don't have that.
And then William taught me something real quick when it came to programs, that you had to look right here to see if you had the barcode. Now the barcode, right, William, means that these were sold at a store, and then at the event, if you're at the event, it does not have the barcode down here on the front.
Right, it just has the price on the program somewhere.
So the price would always more likely be up at the top. Yeah. Either barcode or no barcode would be down in the bottom left corner.
Yep. So they would have to go back after the event. They'd have to go back and take those programs, recover them. They'd have to put another cover on it just to take it and sell it at newsstands or in the stores or whatever, because they didn't sell them all. So they didn't throw them away at the arenas. They didn't just discard them. They went back, ripped the old cover off, the one that came from the arena, put the new cover on them. So, I hear so many people talk about, but it's an arena edition. Well, guess what, guys? At some point or another, almost every program was an arena edition because they had to go back and recover them so they could sell their stock in the stores. It's cool, to have an arena edition program, but at the end of the day, they're all the exact same thing, except for one has a barcode and one doesn't. You know,
Right.
Okay, so this is mine, right?
Yeah, we got the
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig.
Well, before I get started on this, I want to make a comment about what was so great about the PW insiders and the wrestlers and everything is in the very back, they always had order forms that you could order for, like the Wrestling Figures Incorporated and or all that stuff. You always had order forms that you could just look like, man, I want to order that. And I actually did order some of the stuff. So, but this is one of my favorites. I mean, I'm a huge Mr. Perfect fan, and it just pops. I mean, he was getting a hell of a push then. You know, you thought he was going to win the belt. I did, you know, because of Hogan.
Side note on that issue, you know, I got a lot of extra issues, a lot of extra old issues. I have 2 copies of that issue extra, just in case anybody needs it.
I do.
Well, there's one right there.
This. I love this photo. It's just
usually I don't advertise anything here, but I just happen to have 2 copies of that one. So
that's just a beautiful, you know, like I said, he's wearing the orange. It just pops. It just pops on the, as soon as you see it, you know, perfect means business. I really thought he was going to win the belt then. Yeah, I really did.
And he just looks so disappointed on the cover. He's like, come on, man, you need to buy this magazine.
Yeah, look at him. If you don't buy it, he's going to whip your ass. I mean,
you know,
it's just a great cover.
Yep.
He's all up in your face.
He is now. He's scaring me.
I'm big Mr. Perfect fan as well. Especially when he saved Chris Jericho from dying.
Of course, this one, you know.
That's a badass cover right there.
I love this, and I have this one, but it's so great. I mean, it just the Raw magazine was different than the WWE. You know, you're like, I gotta have the Raw. It gets a little bit raunchier. It gets to the point, and this is where they really explain, you know, Kane's origin and, you know, where he's come from and why he's there. You know, even when we knew it, we loved reading it. So,
yeah. You know, I didn't know this until recently, or like, I mean, I knew it, but I forgot about it. Is when they used to have him talk with with that little machine. He's like, I will set myself on fire.
Right.
I just saw that.
Kane. Did you watch that on the A&E?
Yeah, that was King of the Ring 98. I just watched him beat. You know, he had the belt for less than 24 hours because then he lost it the next day on Raw.
But speaking of King of the Ring,
I still loved it.
Speaking of King of the Ring, they never ever give any credit to that Austin Kane match, which was phenomenal. They always talk about Undertaker and Mankind because he fell off the cell, but you know, I mean, that match between Austin and Kane, First Blood, that was
great.
It was a tremendous match.
I agree, and honestly, I was watching that pay-per-view knowing those 2 matches were at the end of the show because I hadn't seen it since I watched it on VHS when I rented it, you know, at 8 years old.
Yeah,
but I remember watching it last night, and a lot of the other matches on that card were just kind of like meh. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this crowd right now has no idea what's about to happen in front of them.
There it is, King of the Ring.
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh wow, so you got it on VHS.
Yeah, right there, Stone Cold and versus Kane.
Yeah, but if you go back and watch that event and watch the Undertaker and Mankind match, and then watch that Austin Kane match, there was nothing in the world wrong with that Austin Kane match. It was excellent.
Not at all. One of my favorite matches.
But you will never hear anybody talk about that match if you mention King of the Ring 98. If you say, hey, what do you think about King of the Ring 98? Oh, man, the Hell in the Cell, Undertaker. Yeah. You'll never, ever hear, you know, holy shit, that match between Austin and Kane, it was so aggressive. There was so much aggression in that match. And, I mean, it was great from beginning to end.
Seeing that belt put over his shoulder, I loved it. It's a great match.
Remember, it wasn't even supposed to be a Hell in the Cell match. It was just a one-on-one for the title, and they lowered the damn cell. Those 2 guys ended up fighting at the Hell in the Cell, and it wasn't even supposed to be a Hell in the Cell match. It was outstanding.
Yeah.
And Taker and Foley even came into it.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought about that too because I knew that they were going to come back out, and I didn't remember that the matches were back to back. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you know, Mick has only had maybe 15, 20 minutes to get his life together after almost dying in the ring.
Twice. Twice.
So they like, I
Yeah.
think basically like he got back to the
that dude
backstage.
died twice, not once, twice.
He got back to the backstage area and they pulled all those thumbtacks out of him. And they're like, all right, now go fuck up that match, please.
Yep, exactly.
Just be something to watch this weekend.
Yep.
Do it, man.
Oh, man.
I just watched it.
I'm just telling you, anybody that watches that, anybody that's listening to us, whether you're listening to us live, you're listening to us tomorrow morning on your way to work or whatever, go back and watch that Kane Austin match and tell me that wasn't a badass match. I would argue that with anybody, you know. And again, it just sucks that one match had such a big, you know, pivotal point that it's like everybody forgot everything else that happened on that card. Like nobody even knows who won the King of the Ring in '98. And nobody even knows, you know. I mean, obviously I know, and you guys probably know. But if you ask who was the 1998 King of the Ring, they'd be like, I don't know. But did you see Undertaker throw Mankind off that cell? You know. So I mean, that's
Well, of course I saw that.
literally, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking that too while I was watching. I was like, I don't remember who won King of the Ring that year because the only thing I remember about it was the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, it was Shamrock.
They literally stole the show for all time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was-
Robert in the comments was talking about that. There was no crowning moment for Shamrock.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I do love this. I love this magazine cover right here. You know, you can't ever go wrong with Kane in that old school gear.
Mhm.
Not at all.
I mean, it just perfectly matches the Raw logo and everything, you know?
And I think this is my
Remember
last
the
one, and
name.
I just, you know, it's self-explanatory. It's just a great cover. You know, when Goldust was, you know, getting hot,
Yeah.
I just loved it. It just pops it. You know, he's just. I love the ones where they're just staring at you. You know, just like, you know, I'm
And
gonna
no
get.
one-
It's like
And no one ever suspected that Goldust was going to take the Intercontinental title off Razor. No one thought that was going to happen.
no one, nobody, everybody just thought he was a goof. You know,
Yep.
they didn't think he was gonna, you know, get the championship. So, you know, that's my third and last. I only put in 3, but that's my last one. But man, that's such a great cover. I'm looking at it now and would love to have it.
Yep, that's a great cover. Absolutely. I would love to get one of those signed, actually.
Yeah,
Yes, it
nice
would be
gold
beautiful.
paint pin right there all over the white.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Yep.
Oh yeah,
You got to go gold, man.
Yeah, I think you have to for that cover. You know, normally I wouldn't put the same color that's on an item, and I wouldn't use the same paint marker, but for that one, I could see it.
Definitely. So yeah, next up we've got our tattoos and wrestling
Nice.
segment here. We're gonna look at some of our favorite tattoos on our WWE and WWF, and some. I think there's WCW in there too. Superstars. We'll go ahead. We'll start with Kyle's first, since he put them all like on one, and then I got a few others
Wait,
of
real,
it.
real quick. So Kyle, I guess you and Steven were like right after the magazine era.
Yeah.
Or what,
So
was there any? What was your?
I wouldn't
favorite, real quick?
I wouldn't say we were after the magazine era, because I remember going to the CVS down the street from the house once a month, like a lot of people, and you know, going through the racks and getting the magazines, and that's actually how I got my Randy Orton wall poster. It was
Nice.
one of those like 10-inch wide ones, and it was like a four fold, and that actually got put up on a poster board and went to me to a live event that said RKO on the sign. But no, I wouldn't say we're after that era. It just hasn't been real prevalent in my collecting. But
over the years, I've owned my fair share of magazines, primarily from like Ruthless Aggression era when they did the brand split and had Raw magazine and Smackdown magazine.
yeah,
Used to get them all the time. It's just there weren't any that I could think of in my head that like stood out enough to share. And I knew you guys already had a bunch of them picked out to look at. So
Hey, Steven, do you still have that Arena Edition magazine that had the Brood on the cover?
I might. I'll have to double check.
That would be badass to get signed, man, because there's like none of those out there.
Yeah, I'll double check. I know I
It
still
is.
have a couple of magazines somewhere in the boxes, so I'll have to look.
We'll see 2 of the 3 Brood.
it's not a magazine, but a couple weeks ago, I picked a comic book up off of Ben, and and I didn't even know that the comic books existed. So I've been heavily looking into those comic books and getting some more of the Warriors and some more of the amazing Rey Mysterios and stuff like that.
We were just talking about the Battle Manias too. Ben and I about that over the weekend. A lot of people
here.
They forgot about those Battle Manias that came out in the early '90s, and they were like a comic style book.
Yep. All inside of it's just a comic.
The covers on those are incredible. That Warrior right there. When Warrior came back in '96, he launched that comic series right there, and they were giving those out with the WWF magazine. So if you see the cover with Warrior on the cover in '96, where it has WrestleMania 12 results, and it's not the one with Shawn on the cover with the results in it, but it's like right during that time period, Warrior's on the cover. They gave that comic book out with that magazine, and it was total fire to receive that for the magazine, you know.
Then they also too, as for comics, real quick, they had WCW came out with comic books. And then Kevin Nash come out with a comic book. You got The Undertaker. You got The Rock. I think Stone Cold had some. The Ultimate Warrior. And then the Battle Manias. Those are like the only ones I can think of off the top of my head as for comic books for wrestling.
Those Battle Mania comics are badass. Those covers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have one handy, but if you could.
Yeah, right here. I have the Ultimate Warrior one. The Bushwhacker one I have. I think I have put up, but yeah.
Those are bad.
Inside real quick before you zoom out.
That's the first one they ever made right there.
They got the actual posters on the inside too, but you got the Warrior and Undertaker. That one's sweet.
Look at that.
Yeah, you got the actual posters on the inside too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so tattoos. Oh, you're good. You're good. So, Kyle, it looks like you got Batista, Roman, Ray, and I believe that's Randy Orton's back elbow there.
Yeah, so we'll start off with Batista. This one, I remember this tattoo before he covered it up, and I always thought it was really funny how this. I mean, he looks like a big ass goofball with a sun tattooed around his belly button.
Right.
And it's like you have this really big, intimidating guy wearing a chain link chain on his neck, but he's got a sun tattooed around his belly button.
So that's when he was the Leviathan, right?
Yes, Leviathan. Even when he just came out of Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yeah.
And then he became, what was the religious character?
Deacon Batista.
The
Deacon. Yeah. Yeah.
With Devon.
Yeah.
Had to throw it in there.
Yeah. So no, I just thought it was real funny. I'm real big on like placements of tattoos. And like you have a lot of body there, and to put that on your belly button just seemed odd to me.
And to make it so small.
Yeah, it's kind of like Finn Balor's tattoo. Like he has no tattoos but one on top of his hand. I don't understand it. So you know what I mean? Like it's like, I'm gonna get my first tattoo and I'll put it right on top of my hand. But as far as Batista goes, no. I mean, obviously he looks totally different now. 100% back piece, 2 full sleeves. I think he has some type of falcon or an eagle coming up over the belly button now. I can't remember.
We're gonna take a look at it here in just a minute. I got more pictures for Batista.
Yeah. So we'll move on from him then. But Roman, that Polynesian style tattooing, I mean, it's a legacy piece at this point. I mean, that style of tattooing for the bloodline goes all the way back to Peter Maivia when he had the hip saddles. You know, he had Polynesian tribal as hip saddles, and were absolutely just amazing tattoos. And you know, the Usos, you know, they're pretty dark. You know, you can't see a lot of their detail, but when you really get up close to like Roman's and just the way it comes down off the back, I mean, I think that it's just a really well put together piece. And that style of Polynesian tattooing, and which the Polynesian tribal, I mean, that is a staple for the bloodline and everybody that came before them. So I think the only one that doesn't have Polynesian, unless he has some on his legs that I don't know about, is Rikishi. Because I think everybody else had some type of Polynesian tattoo that linked them all together. And that's just another part of
That's why he's
Do what?
why he's a tribal chief.
Yeah. So
That's right.
Yeah, and then Ray. I've never really been big into like the anatomy style tattooing. I don't like muscular tattooing or like the veining tattoos or the bone structure tattoos. But this is like one of those. This is one of those back pieces where it's almost like it's almost like before biomechanical became a big thing. It's got almost like a biomechanical bone structure to it that comes out to the points and the spikes and how it overlays it. You know, it's a really well done piece, and I think it's one of the few actual like anatomy type spinal tattoos that I really enjoy. I remember going after his action figures when he first came to the WWE, and that back tattoo on the back of it was like my favorite part. Like even at a young age, the back tattoo was like my absolute favorite part of that that action figure. So
they do a real good job with the tattooing on the figures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They do, and even Romans. Like I couldn't imagine how hard it would be to screen print that type of Polynesian tribal onto a little plastic figure and actually make it have a detail.
That's technology.
Yeah. So I wouldn't want to be the person that does it. It's probably a lot easier than what I think it is, but still at the same time, it's kind of wild. And if you look at the Shotzi action figures, especially the new Elite that just came out not too long ago, her tattoos on that action figure are spot on too.
Oh yeah. And I guess you like the quote here on Randy's.
I do. So Randy, which you guys know, just from private conversations past, I'm not shy about it. You know, with my struggles with addiction and being 5.5 years sober, I like the wrestlers that come out and talk about it and have those pasts, and it helps people like me. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
when you look at Randy Orton's tattoos, this is one, and we can go through Randy's tattoos all day. But it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." You know, and you know, being in the recovery world for the last 5.5 years, you know, that saying couldn't be more true. You know, you got to be sober, you got to be vigilant. You know, you got to know what's going on around you, because at any given time, it can come right back and take you back. And you know, I think Randy's done a pretty good job of being open about his past struggles, along with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels and all the other ones. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm excited to actually meet Kurt Angle in person at the Indie Expo. Just being in recovery and kind of having that connection, even though we don't know each other, you know, just being in that world just bring you closer, even if you don't know it.
for sure.
But Randy's an interesting one when it comes to all of his tattoos, though, because they just settled a lawsuit on his tattoos with his tattoo artist. So his tattoo artist sued the WWE for her artwork being on television, which I don't understand it. She won, like she won, and I don't understand how that makes any sense, because I have tattoos. I have tattoos all over me. My tattoo artist doesn't own like what I do with my tattoos. So
exactly.
it's a very weird concept, and like they're not trademarked pieces, they're not patented pieces. Like they are custom one-off pieces, but to sit here and say, "Hey, that's my property, that's my work," I don't agree with that at all, because it's not. Because once I pay you and you put something permanently on my body, it's mine.
That's what somebody's saying here. It's what I was thinking. It's for video games.
Yeah, it could have been.
Was it for video? Was it the video games? Okay,
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Also, Kyle, I don't know if you saw, but somebody said congrats on 5.5 years of being sober, and I agree. You know, congratulations. That's
yeah,
hitting
man,
that 5-year,
thank you.
5-year bump, man. You know,
Yeah. So it's been a fun one. I'll tell you that much. So
definitely remember all of it too. That's the most important thing.
Yep. The last 5 years, I don't have many fuzzy moments. That's for sure. That is for sure.
All right. So next up, we got Bam Bam Bigelow here. I believe, Kev, you sent me a picture of his head, right? Or was it Ben?
Right.
I did.
I
think
sent you a
both of them-
picture of him.
I think both of y'all did, actually.
Yep.
So what I did is I grabbed this picture because it was a better resolution, so it looked better on screen. But yeah, we got the iconic skull tattoo here, or the head tattoo with the flames. And then I also dug all of the other stuff he had, especially this. I think this is an eagle right here, or like a eagle tiger kind of hybrid thing.
Yeah, he had some awesome tattoos. Everybody focused on his head, of course, but he had some other awesome ones as well.
Definitely.
And then I sent a actual video, I think, in the admin chat of actual when he got his tattoo done on his head. He was sitting there getting it done. And then we talking about Hasbro's. That's probably one of my favorite Hasbro's is his. And they got the detail of it, and they got the tattoo of on his head and his arms on that figure. But yeah, like that right there. I think the reason why he got that on there was to show that yes, he is a bad guy. He wanted something for them to remember, and he decided to get his head tattooed.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the best tattoos on any wrestler.
Not only that, do you remember him in his appearance in Major Pain?
Yes.
What a great experience in the movie Major Pain too. Because he outside of the wrestling ring and outside of his wrestling gear, walking around like a biker, he looked like a total badass. So shout out to Bam Bam.
And put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
Deserves to be there.
He should.
I couldn't imagine getting the top. I could not imagine getting the top of my head tattooed.
Yeah, you got to be on a whole new level of being a badass.
Well, going forward to be on the Rabbit Hole podcast, you're gonna have to get a head tattoo. So you better start imagining it.
I have a tattoo inside my mouth, so I already qualify.
Oh Lord,
bless it.
Will just shakes his head.
Got some more Batista for you later on in his career.
he doesn't look good there at all.
No,
he doesn't.
He doesn't look healthy there at all.
Yeah, but those tattoos, though.
Yeah, but that's not a good looking Batista. That's like a much later
MMA wannabe Batista.
Yeah, that's not the real.
Yeah, I love the back tattoo.
Yeah.
Now that's the real Batista. Look how wide he was there.
Yeah.
What a monster. What a monster.
Well, how old is he now?
50.
Late 40s, 50. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
50. Yeah, he was old when he was wrestling.
He's 50. He just made a comment the other day. Somebody told him, "Wow, you don't look bad for 50." And he's like, "Why didn't you just say I don't look bad? Why does it got to be, because I'm 50?"
Yeah, exactly. I thought those tattoos are pretty sweet, though.
Yep.
They definitely stand out on his figures as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, next up we got Bray Wyatt. He's got some good ones.
That was one of my picks. I love him.
Yeah, I got a couple of pictures here for us to take a look at.
There's no better character out there, and from what I understand, they're already having some sort of issues with him again, and I guess he's having some sort of problem. They say it's a physical problem, but who knows? But there's just no better character out there in the world of wrestling today. No better character anywhere.
They need to keep pushing that one. Like so right now, move on from the bloodline and go towards that. Towards his story.
As hot as he is, and as top of the mountain as he is right now, how in the hell are you going to have a WrestleMania and not have Bray Wyatt in the main event against Roman? Why in the world would you have Cody? And I like the whole Sammy storyline, and I like that whole thought process. But how in the hell do you not have Bray versus Roman night 2 main event?
That's what I'd pay for.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I guess they just feel like his mystique is so good that he doesn't need a belt or something. But I mean, to build hype around a main event with him, I mean, that seems like a layup to me.
The draw,
everything he does is gold.
the draw power alone that you still have time to do. I mean, you could have Bray come out there as Bray, get in the ring with the entire bloodline, and get into a battle with them, and then next thing you know, here comes all the Wyatt characters. You know, you could have all Wyatt characters come out there and battle the bloodline.
And also you got the Undertaker. It's WrestleMania season.
Yeah, I just
see the Undertaker
him out.
like a manager, just the appearance of him.
I just can't imagine not having Bray in the main event of WrestleMania. You know, it's funny to me. Bray has never main evented a WrestleMania as good of a character as he is.
Yeah. And the only thing that came close was the co-main event against Randy Orton, which I had the plaque for.
Yeah.
With the, they did. You were there at the event, 33.
Yeah. But but at the end of the day, the main event at 33 was Taker and Roman. You know, and again, you've never had a Bray main event. How in the hell, as hot as he is, do you not have a Bray main event?
I definitely agree. Also, I have next up here. I'm not a big fan of CM Punk. However, this is a pretty sweet tattoo work here. For some reason, man, I like tattoos on other people. I just don't ever want tattoos on myself. But the flowers and all that, I mean, I know they're not really a big deal in this tattoo, but I think flower tattoos are fucking cool.
Did nobody pick...
I like his G.I. Joe Cobra. That's
nobody pick Cody's bullshit neck tattoo?
Nope.
It's another one of those placement things that gets under my skin.
Yeah, it's just a bullshit tattoo, right? Like, why would you do that?
There's mine.
I like that. Yep.
See what I remember, like I said, Goldberg, of course you remember the spear, the jackhammer, and his undefeated streak. But to me, that was a character based off his tattoo too. He just had that one right there, the barbed wire. And like I said, when you saw that, you're like, oh shit, that's Goldberg. And
that was even his logo for a long time.
Yeah.
Not only that, when you see that tattoo, you literally can hear Goldberg's theme music playing.
Yep.
And it was just so solemn. Yep. Like, it just amped you up. Like, it never really changed the tune. It always kind of stayed pretty much the same, real mellow. But, like, when you saw, that tattoo, you automatically thought in the back of your mind of Goldberg's theme music.
Yep.
Simple but effective is what I would like. That's how I call it.
Yep. Less is more.
And aside from that, that's the only thing that makes him and Austin's attire any different. So he has that tattoo.
Yep.
Austin has it on his leg or his cat.
Next up, we got
that's my
Lita
girl
here.
right there. That's my girl.
Yeah, I got two images for her.
But during that time period, though, late '97, early '98, Goldberg, in my opinion, was like twice the size of Austin. I mean, he had to have outweighed Austin by 40 or 50 pounds just in pure muscle mass.
Oh yeah, he's a monster for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you set the two of them next to each other, yeah, they both have bald heads. Yeah, they're both wearing black gear. But Goldberg was just a massive muscle man, where Austin, until after he won the title, really wasn't built. He was still really thin going into 14. He wasn't a real big muscular guy. I think he probably got some injections at some point. I don't know that for sure, but I would assume that's what happened.
Juiced him up. I think we lost Kyle.
Kyle has left the building.
I'm sure he'll be back.
Maybe... talking about Lita, she was the first woman in wrestling to me that made tattoos cool. She showed up with that on her arm. She was with S.A. Rios, had like an evening gown or whatever on, but we're just like, hey, look at that chick's arm. And she's got a tattoo. Women aren't supposed to have tattoos in wrestling. She's hot.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's totally punk rocker attitude.
So that's why I think that she needs to be at the top of the list when it comes to tattoos, especially in wrestling, because she made it cool for a chick, girl or woman to have them, to have the tattoos.
Absolutely. I got another shot here of her other arm.
That's my favorite one right there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. It is cool. It's kind of it's badass. Welcome back, Kyle.
Hey, sorry about that. I got kicked.
Oh dang! I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's probably your dial up from the Stone Cold.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No one put the Rock on here, but I chose the Rock. Another one of those iconic tattoos to go with
The iconic
Polynesian.
tattoo for me of The Rock is the Brahma Bull one. The blue Brahma Bull.
It means something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He covered it up.
he covered it up.
I hated when he covered it up because
it made me so mad. Like,
yeah, because I got a Brahma Bull skull for it's not exactly like his, but the reason I got a Brahma Bull skull on my shoulder was for the Brahma Bull, and then he covered it up. Like, damn it!
That was another one of those kind of like Goldberg. That was another one of those kind of like Goldberg. That tattoo was a part of his character, and I feel like when he covered that up, it was kind of like a wash of the hands, officially done with WWE type of thing, and because you'd think that bull would mean a lot to him, but I don't know.
You had shirts, you had your images, you had everything with that Brahma Bull.
Your Under Armour line is based around it.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was definitely Hollywood Rock era. Speaking of The Rock, I just saw the episode of Raw that had DX pretending to be the Nation.
Oh yeah.
And Triple H comes out there and he's like, I just got out of the bathroom. He was pretending to be The Rock. He was the Croc.
Yep.
And he said, and you should have smelled what I was cooking. And then you had X-Pac on there dressed up as Mark Henry, and he said
Mizark,
yeah. He said, I smelled it. And honestly, it smelled like shit.
But I ate some anyway.
Yep. Exactly.
And then Road Dogg would come over there pretending to be D-Lo and would say, my brother ate some anyway, and started shaking his head and got on top of the rope.
Yeah.
That
Hilarious.
was great. That was so great.
We need to show that live one of these weeks, Steven. That thing is hilarious.
Oh yeah, we will. We'll start incorporating more clips.
Yeah, that was so funny.
And then last but not least, my pick for tattoos. We've got the iconic, the dead man. I got a better picture here in just a second, but this man had, he used to have the Sarah tattoo on his neck for his first wife. I think he ended up getting it covered up or removed.
Yeah, it's like right on his throat or something.
Yeah. And then here we go. It's a little bit better quality image. But yeah, it's I mean, the man likes his tattoos for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I almost wanted to count Finn Balor's face paint, but obviously that's not a tattoo.
Right.
But some of that would be sick as a tattoo for sure.
Can we count Prison Dom's teardrop?
No.
I'm surprised nobody did Mike Tyson's face tattoo.
I hate that.
Well, I guess we weren't thinking about him because he was only part of a little bit of WrestleMania 14 and leading up to it.
Well, technically, he's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but ain't Kid Rock in the Hall of Fame too?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But I still, the whole idea of the face tattoo on Tyson, I
like how I didn't have to say anything about Kid Rock, and you were just like, "Yeah, I agree."
Yeah, I was. I agree with you. I'm just saying, I'm surprised nobody put up that Tyson face tattoo.
I'll pull it up right now. I know we
I'm
all
just not
know
a
what it
fan
looks
of it.
like.
I would say it's almost as bad as Cody's neck tattoo.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Almost as bad. Not quite.
See a nice look at this here.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, what the hell were you thinking?
They kind of poked fun of it in that Hangover 2 movie when they with Stu.
Yep. Yeah, if you don't love the Hangover movies, man, something's wrong with you.
Oh, definitely. That's good stuff. That's all the stuff we had for the tattoos. I think honestly though, Lita, I don't know, maybe it's just because I like women, but the Lita ones were the most cool ones.
Yeah.
She just
might
cool
be biased,
Yeah, I'm surprised no one picked Jeff Hardy.
You know what? I was going to, but then I was like, I already have so many. I'll just go with this. But Jeff Hardy definitely does have some really sweet tattoos. We may have to revisit this segment in another episode.
I think
start running out of ideas.
Crush's tattoo was painted on. It wasn't a tattoo because when he got to WCW, he didn't have the tattoo.
Crush?
Yeah, somebody was
Evil
asking.
Crush.
Robert. Yeah.
If he had a face tattoo in WWF, but he didn't because he was in WCW a year later and he didn't have any tattoos on his face. Crush is one of those guys that we don't spend enough time talking about because, wow, that guy was a phenomenal athlete. Definitely could have been world heavyweight champion.
Then the one I liked that was the Japanese wrestler, but I can't think of his name. It'd have all the Japanese symbols or letters like
Hakushi.
Yeah, I love that. Back when he faced Bret Hart, like I said, that guy scared me to death.
But then they would rub off when he wrestled.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, Robert Burdick, it was face paint. It wasn't a tattoo.
So we have a couple of more things to talk about before we wrap up for the day, mostly involving SmackDown and Raw. Ray's entering the Hall of Fame, which I think is well-deserved. He's paid his dues for sure. Still not sure.
What's your favorite Ray moment, Steven?
My favorite Ray moment is probably when he beat Brock Lesnar.
You know what my favorite Ray moment is of all time?
Which one?
When Kevin Nash catches him jumping off the stairs and throws him into the side of the trailer.
Darts him into the trailer, yeah.
Favorite Rey Mysterio moment ever.
Ever.
Why do you dislike Ray so much, Will?
It's not about dislike.
No.
It's when somebody says Rey Mysterio to me, my mind starts playing that clip over of him jumping off like a high flying leap and Nash kept catching him in the air and just darting him right into the trailer like he was nothing. And then Scott Hall, if you go back and watch that clip, if you watch that clip tonight, Scott Hall is standing there and doubles over in laughter because he couldn't believe, like, I just don't think there's any way that was planned because he just doubles over like, I can't believe you just caught him in the air and darted him into the side of that trailer. I mean, it was so unbelievable. You got to go back and watch that. Hilarious.
It was awesome, and it's not a diss at all because it was a historic moment. It's just, I agree with Will. That's my favorite moment when I think of Ray. He's going head first into that trailer.
It freaked the neighborhood out so bad, a whole bunch of people started calling 911 and sent police there and fire department there and everything else there because they thought there was a gang war going on behind that arena. That's a true story.
Who's the Facebook user saying the favorite Ray moments when he beat Dean Malenko at Halloween Havoc 96?
I thought he faced Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc 96.
Because there's a sneak thing. You might see that image coming up very soon. Just FYI.
I thought he faced Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc 96. Am I wrong about that?
Let me pull the feed.
I have no clue.
But me and William knows that somebody will see that image come up very soon. Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah,
it was. Thomas Burnett said that.
Okay, thank you, Thomas.
Thomas said Eddie versus Ray was 97. Okay.
97. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think but going back to that Ray going through the or getting darted into the trailer, I think Ray originally wanted him to throw him through the window, but Nash said, I can't do that because of the glass. And he's like, all right, well, just throw me into the trailer. So they had a little bit of an outline there.
So maybe there was an outline, but I swear I don't think Scott Hall was in on it because literally, like, he drops the bat onto the ground as he doubles over laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't look like he was pretending to laugh or faking it. Like, he literally doubles over in laughter when Ray hits the side of the damn trailer. You know,
he was busting a gut, man. It was kind of like a Ric Flair moment when Shockmaster came out, and you hear Flair saying, "Oh God." I mean, that's real life.
Absolutely.
And so I think Scott Hall, you know, he was big. He was laughing, but I don't think he expected it.
You got to remember too, Nash is all of 7 foot tall. I mean, he's literally right there at the 7 foot button, right? And then extending his arms up in the air, probably 3 feet. So Mysterio went from 10 feet in the air, you know, off of these stairs into Nash's arms, 10 feet in the air above Nash, into the side of the trailer, and then fell that same 10 feet down to the ground after going head first into this damn trailer. I mean, what a moment, you know?
Great stuff.
If I had to rewrite his whole career and sum up his whole career, it would be that moment. It wouldn't be him winning the world title or the Rumble or anything else. That was his whole career right there into the side of that trailer.
Nice.
Agreed.
Well, other than that, on SmackDown, there wasn't a lot that happened. There was the triple threat for the Intercontinental Belt is probably happening at Mania. It was definitely hinted at with them having that tie win to see who would face Gunther. So they haven't confirmed it yet, but it definitely feels like they're going to do the triple threat between Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther, which I would be down to see. That would be a hard-hitting, steal the night kind of match. Jay said he had to turn on Sammy, even though he didn't want to, because family obviously comes first. And then, of course, at the end of the night, Cody and Sammy jumped the Usos. That's pretty much everything that happened on SmackDown. Then Raw.
Hey, can I throw one more in there, too, before we get off?
Yeah.
I talked about this a couple weeks ago, too, but I want to bring it up again. Another great Hall of Fame Rey Mysterio moment was when he wrestled Nash and he lost. And it was like, if you lose your mask. And he had to take the mask off. And then Hall and Nash were standing there and telling him he was so ugly to put the mask back on. Another great Hall of Fame moment for Rey Mysterio. And I don't dislike the guy at all. I don't have anything against the guy. I don't dislike him. But, I mean, those are moments that I specifically remember of Rey. I mean, like, I'm not anti-Rey at all, but I think that stuff was great character work. I mean, it was incredible character work,
Yeah. Well, hey, Rey is great. And
does anybody remember how high in the air Kevin Nash power bombed Rey Mysterio during that match? I mean, it was like
I watched it. Yep.
It was like slam dunking a basketball.
I'm pretty sure they showed it on the biography episode.
Well, if not, they should have.
Another thing that reminds me of Rey is when he was with Kidman and all that, and he had horns.
Yep.
On his head. That's just. It just pops up when somebody says Rey Mysterio. Those are the ones I remember.
Yep.
Well, my favorite Rey moment was when he debuted in Indianapolis, because I was there live when he debuted in the WWE, and he had his match during the night. But then during the cage match in the main event, he came out to interrupt the match, and he scaled the side of that cage. I mean, in seconds. And when he jumped off the top of that cage and cross-bodied the two in the ring, that was a big moment. I liked it, but I was also there and saw it live, so.
That's pretty cool.
That is a good moment. They definitely showed that in the biography.
Wait a minute. How old were you in 96 and 97 when the other moments came up that I'm talking about?
Okay, so 96. So that would have made me 4. I was 4 in 96.
So
Okay.
I challenge you before the next Rabbit Hole podcast to go back and watch those moments in detail and watch how Scott just doubles over laughing, No,
I've seen him. I've seen
I was about to say, Tribal Chief trying to give out homework.
Yeah, I think you'll find pure pleasure in going back and watching that stuff because, man, you got to remember it was a different time. It was a much different time than we live in right now. And seeing that stuff was just so like, oh, my God, I can't believe, like, you literally believed he just threw this dude in the side of a trailer. Like, I mean, it was so believable, So you got to go back and watch it and place yourself in that time period prior to internet, prior to cell phones, all that stuff, and really think about the times and how incredible it was that the whole neighborhood behind there was calling 911 saying, there's a gang war out here. We need the police. We need ambulances and stuff. And if you watch the NWO documentary, they specifically cover that whole incident happening. So, and that's what it was like. That's what it was like to be a teenager or a late 11 12 13-year-old kid watching it back then. You were like, oh my God, you were just drawn in. It was like the most addictive soap opera ever in the history of the world, kind of thing. It was, you were so engaged, like you could not wait to see what happened the next week. You couldn't wait.
I'm going back to rewatching it. I haven't made it back that far. I'm early March, April of 96 right now, right before the NWO. But I'm going back. I'm watching that more now than the actual today stuff.
So I was 21 when that happened, and of course, when you're 21, listen at you. Don't make me go off on you next time, boy. So I was 21 when that happened. And, when you're 21, you think everything that's not supposed to happen is cool. So that's why I just stick to, like, well, damn, that ain't supposed to happen. Man, that's cool as hell. I'm going out NWO, wanting to spray paint everything. And so that's why, it was just cool.
I think I was 13 or 14 when all that was going on.
Yeah, I was 13, 14 as well. But look at it too today, how they impacted today's, because, for example, AEW, the Outcast, which is Paige, Tony Storm, and Ruby Soho, they're out there doing the spray painting again.
Yeah. So just a side note too, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think now, since we've dug so deep into it, we've got to mention it. This week right here, we just had the 1-year anniversary of Scott's passing. And honestly, I talked about this on Tuesday, and I talked about it over the weekend with the admins, with you guys there too. I don't think there's ever been another wrestler that's passed away that has really felt this bad and has hung on this long like that. The thought process of Scott not being here anymore has just been awful. And watching that documentary, Ben and I both talked about this, watching that documentary and Kevin getting on there and saying, I think this is the first thing we've done since Scott's passed.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was hard. That right there, if that didn't bring a tear to your eye and kind of, make you go,
jerk at your heart.
I can't believe it. Yeah, if that didn't jerk at the heartstrings, nothing will. But, so definitely huge shout out to Scott. Impacted everybody in this room, live at some point or another. And definitely for me, one of my top of all time, one of my top 5 for sure of all time. And, he's on my Mount Rushmore as well. And shout out to him and God bless Scott Hall for sure.
I'm into that.
Last thing we're going to cover here today, we got Raw's recap. Raw had a little bit more spice to it this week. Edge versus Finn Balor Hell in a Cell match at Mania has been announced. That'll be pretty good. Brock and Omos come face to face in an underwhelming encounter. 0 crowd response to Omos going over on Brock there, trying to push him out of the ring. They botched the ring out as well. LA Knight jobs out to Cody Rhodes. This is the third loss. Yeah, it's the third loss for him in a row. However, I've been hearing rumors that the backstage management and everything are pretty happy with LA Knight. So maybe
they're getting ready to push him, is what I read.
Yeah, I hope they do. Honestly, man, I've grown to love the character a lot. And then, of course, Bronson Reed lays waste to Elias. So Bronson's back on TV. I know he took a couple of weeks off after that Elimination Chamber match. And, he's back to his usual destroying everything in his path. Then Solo Sikoa defeats KO in the main event. It was a street fight. Obviously, he got help from the Usos. I mean, who didn't see that coming? But yeah, WrestleMania, it looks like, what is it, like 2.5 weeks away or something like that? So we're getting pretty close. So we're almost through the calm of the storm.
And April 1st and 2nd, right?
Yep. And I'm really excited for it. We'll have to do some, we'll be doing some predictions, discussion about Mania. I want to do some fantasy, Mania matchups too, like all time. You know what I'm saying? Matches that we never got that we would love to see if we could.
I agree.
So need to.
Let's end on this, okay? What is this is just spot off the moment, okay? And we can go back and redo it next week or whatever, but just spur off the moment. What is your number one favorite WrestleMania match of all time, Steven?
Well, that's going to be Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19.
What about you, Kev?
Brett versus Owen, WrestleMania 10.
What about you, Kyle?
That's when Owen wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like Rock and Austin.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ben?
WrestleMania 3. Hogan and the Giant.
You think so?
Classic.
So, of all the matches that I've seen and all the things I've seen, and I've gone back and I've watched, my favorite match of all time in a WrestleMania is Bret Hart and Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8.
Great pick.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Out of all of them, that's my favorite. And we could go through and do like a Mount Rushmore of WrestleMania matches because I think it's a great idea. But I think overall, like, you just can't get a better match than that.
Well, just this last weekend, we watched WrestleMania 10 and 11.
We did, yeah.
We did.
So I was talking to the other admins about that earlier this week. That they all left and went to bed and all that stuff, but we were all kind of watching old WrestleMania. So I did tell Jess we're going to do that again in Indy. So after all our work done, we'll get together. We'll grab a cooler. We'll grab some diet sodas for somebody, and we'll grab some
chocolate chips,
grab some some waters and some coffees or whatever may come. But and we'll hook up the old Roku, fire it up, and throw on some old wrestling. So I mean, you just can't have a bad time sitting around watching the old wrestling. We
watched the Savage Crush match.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll be doing that in Indy as well. So, but I think on that note, we're about 15 minutes over time. Another great episode. Thank you, everyone, guys. I want to make sure. Hopefully, everybody saw at the bottom of the screen. We've got our pre-sales up for Powers of Pain Demolition. We're coming up really fast. We're less than 3 weeks now because we're technically going into Friday, so we're less than 3 weeks now from Squared Circle Expo. Ben and I will be going live to cover a lot of the images that we have available coming up for Squared Circle Expo. So that's going to happen here really, really soon. But again, thank you, everybody. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate everybody's input. And that's all I have for tonight. Steven?
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Rabbit Hole Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, please follow our group on Facebook. Our logo's at the top right. Look for the image. Top Rope Wrestling Collectibles and Autographs, and we will catch you. Hopefully, we'll be back next Thursday. Everybody's going to be in town, so we'll be back. All right, till next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.